I was lying on the couch in my family room one day. It was a calm day, no storms, no rain, just sunny weather, and my TV was on. The volume wasn't too high, I was sort of trying to fall asleep at the time. But anyway, I found myself unable to move suddenly. I knew I'd briefly fallen asleep. I tried to get up, but not only did I feel bound to the couch, but I also felt a weird sensation that something was watching me. I know it sounds weird to say, it didn't feel like a hallucination, but it didn't. I truly had that odd feeling of another presence nearby, and I was the only one home. As I laid there, it didn't take long before I heard a weird coughing in the living room. I was in the family room. I could move my eyes, and definitely open them somewhat widely, as far as sleep paralysis goes. I started to notice a shadow making its way along the linoleum floor, creeping its way to the beginning of the carpet of the family room. The light over the dining table was on, as was the kitchen light, where the shadow was casting away from. Before anything else could happen, I was fully awoken as the phone rang. I shot up off the couch, rubbed my eyes, and ran to the phone, not thinking about what had just happened. As soon as I got to the phone, I noticed something odd about the caller ID. It displayed an odd number. I knew it couldn't be a phone number. But I picked it up, and put the receiver to my ear. "Hello?" I muttered. I heard a weird static, like the kind you hear when the person on the other end isn't saying anything and it's just that static buzzing. "Hello?" I called again. This time, I heard a voice breathe in, about to speak. "Your day will get weird," I heard a raspy, Scooby-Doo villain-type voice say. Then a weird clicking sound, almost like they had hung up. I heard 2 more clicks, and as I was about to hang up, now it becomes weirder. I was too puzzled to speak, so I listened for a moment longer. I heard more rustling, like the caller was messing with the phone cord or something. Then, more quickly than the previous line, he, she, it said, now it gets entirely bizarre. And then I heard more rustling, and then another voice join it, and they both sort of groaned, and then one, the more normal one, said, "That's about how he said it in the movie, right?" Then, "Quite so." Then, almost immediately, the only sound was the dial tone. I slowly set down the phone and looked around a little bit. Just a dream, right? Well, I wasn't sure. You know when you're awake and when you're dreaming. In a dream, you can't fully comprehend the world around you. Strange and unexplainable things happen. In real life, when you're awake, you just know it. I was not dreaming. But then I checked the caller ID, and gasped. That call hadn't been recorded in the caller history thing. I heard yet another weird sound upstairs. It was that same coughing I'd heard previously. It sounded sick, as though whoever it was about to vomit. I gained a little bit of courage and made my way to the stairs in the big living room. My mom was at work, and my dad lived in Denver. We lived in Castle Rock, CO. Obviously though, I was not alone. It felt like forever before I got to the top of the stairs and looked around for whatever it could have been that made the coughing sounds I'd heard. It would have made sense to guess that someone was playing a prank on me, but I had no friends back then, or enemies, so this baffled me. I detected no sign of intrusion anywhere in the house. All the doors and windows were locked, no broken glass was anywhere, and the basement door was always closed and locked. I briefly looked in my mom's room, and after I concluded it was empty, I crossed the small hallway into the laundry room. It was barely big enough for one person, and quite dark. No way anyone was in there. The only option left was to search my room, and the guest room, which sat on either side of the laundry room, and were both connected by a long bathroom. I heard 2 feet shifting somewhere. I thought against going into the guest room, as in my childhood I'd always felt an odd presence in that room. That's another story. But then I wondered if that same presence had materialized as a ghost. I immediately scolded myself for such an outlandish thought. But then it almost seemed like something, some voice, or force, was answering my thoughts. I crept into the guest room and searched around. I didn't feel as strong of a presence now as I always had, but it was definitely there. The room was as it had always been, the made bed, not used for over 6 years, the dusty bookshelf littered with remnants of the good old days, and a small blue shelf with a lamp. Then I looked to the bathroom door. Now, until then, I'd always thought I'd heard strange sounds coming from the guest room and the bathroom anytime I'd be near it. However, my mom never said anything about it. I may never know if she had heard these things or not, but I know I did. The guest room had once been my sister's when she lived with us. After she moved out, I always sensed that weird presence in there. Now, as I crept for the bathroom door, I got a weird chill that ran through my body. Not one of excitement, but of a sudden and unexplainable fear. I drew nearer and nearer, until my teeth were almost chattering. I had never felt like this before. The house was like 50 degrees that day, and it was summer. I'd been uncomfortably warm all day, and all week. I slammed my eyes shut, swallowed, opened my eyes again, and looked into the bathroom, to find nothing unusual. The light shone in from the small rectangular window, the bathtub shined, the sink on the other end of the room was calm, sometimes it dripped for no reason, and overall the weird sensation seemed to go away. What was that all about? Wait a second, something was odd. First I went to the mirror to make sure nothing was weird about me. Nope, nothing weird at all. I just stared at my reflection for a moment, then turned, as a weird sound emanated from the tub. The sound of a small piece of something hitting the tub floor caught my attention. Then 2 more. Then the sound of a bigger piece clattered to the floor. Then 3 more mid-sized ones. I turned and peered around the side of the half wall that separated the 2 sides of the room. What the hell? The tile wall was crumbling away. A big chunk of the wall was gone, right toward the corner. Soon, a piece fell away, revealing a small hole. Then more around it fell off, increasing the size of the hole. I stepped back, prepared to defend myself. But a few minutes passed, and the crumbling ceased. When all seemed calm enough, I slowly took a step toward the tub. I stepped into the tub and kept my gaze on the hole, afraid to look away in case it was a hallucination and would disappear. I blinked. It was still there. I reached up to touch the edges, and it was definitely not my eyes playing tricks on me. I peered inside the pitch-black hole, and suddenly I watched as a pale white arm swept across the hole from the other side. It was like someone was standing on the left side of the hole, against the wall, and had scratched their cheek or something, and that was their arm lowering back to their side. That's the best way to put it. Afraid to look inside any closer, I backed up. I heard the person right there breathe out, and instead of running, I angrily said, "What do you want?" But nobody answered. In fact, that weird feeling that I was accompanied by a presence suddenly lifted. I moved up to the hole and prepared to stick my head in and look around. But pain shot through my head as it hit solid wall. I shut my eyes in pain and rubbed the spot, then looked up. The hole was gone. First, allow me to say that I do not endorse this story, nor do I have any evidence to support it. I merely think that it's interesting, to ponder, wonder, come up with possibilities to its existence, etc. I don't necessarily take it to heart, nor do I expect you to. Serious opinions, interpretations, etc. are welcomed. I just ask that comments be respectful. This story has been passed to me, and now, in a sense, to you. It was handed to me by my elder brother and sister, who both, when questioned separately, stated the same details, to my recollection. I have not done a recent questioning to verify this, but I assume. In any case, I find it interesting, I hope you will as well. As children, my older brother and sister would sometimes make use of the forest nearby their home. This, for those who are curious, was before I was born. My brother and sister are quite older than I, playing there from time to time, I believe. I am unsure if they did, for certain, play there, but they did, at the very least, have to enter on one occasion. Unfortunately, they did not know the terrain well. Our father, who is not the brightest, nor is he very responsible, had taken on the task of caring for a friend's feline pet, a domestic cat, of course. The cat, while under his care, managed to escape. Fearing his friend's response to the fact that the animal had gone missing, he sent out a search party, at least I assume this was his logic, aka, my brother and sister. Their destination, the woods. My brother and sister set out to find the cat, more than likely against their will, but determined nonetheless. They wandered farther and farther into the woods. Searching and searching, they come up empty-handed. Not a cat to be found. It was beginning to get dark, they did not have much time. Continuing the search, they wandered between a pair of trees, and into the broken, ghostly remains of what they refer to as a village. There wasn't much, the frames of old buildings, perhaps lost long ago in a fire. But the empty remains were the least of their worries. As it was getting even darker, they began to head back, but wait, the direction in which they came, simply led them right back into the remains of the village. Around and around they went, but ended right back in the village. Until it hit them the 2 trees. They began looking for the same 2 trees through which they entered. At last, they found them. They walked, once again, between the 2 trees, and, as if magic, passed back to their path home. They could only enter the village, and likewise, leave, by walking between these specific trees. As it became darker, they finally arrived home, safe. And as it turns out, the cat had been hiding at home all along. But their quest to find the cat led them into a strange place that I'm sure they will never forget. Perhaps it was a portal to a piece of the past? No one knows, and I doubt that anyone ever will.